welcome to the AFGHANEYE YouTube channel. If this is your first visit, make sure to subscribe and press the notification bell so that you won't miss any of our new videos.
Yeah, that is. Alhamdulillah, Sangar. How are you doing? Have you had a chance to speak to family in Afghanistan or get? Uh-huh. Brilliant. Someone is saying that they can't hear you. We can hear two people are saying they can't hear you. Three people.
I think you can hear me now.
Guys,
Hear
can
me
you hear
now.
Sangar?
I think they can because my microphone wasn't switched on. All right. So again, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to AFGHANEYE Live. I'm sorry if I look like a ghost. It's because I haven't slept a lot, just a couple of hours. Um, it's very difficult because there is so much going on right now in Afghanistan and there's so much news, and we try to stay on top of all the stories, and as a result of that, we don't get a lot of rest, but it's okay. So far everything has been sort of, yeah, I don't know, it's very difficult to make a good assessment of where we're going towards. So we will talk about all of that in detail soon, inshallah. Just make sure that
We're still waiting for other people to join us. Guys that are here, please share the link. I'm currently doing it as we speak. Share the link so we can get more people in here. So we can, and to be fair, today we don't really have a script, just as we didn't have yesterday. There isn't that much to recap on. It's just sort of to discuss developments as and if they unfold. So please share the link. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Um, that's all I'm going to ask for now. Just bear with us as well, okay? No خوب دیوانه که سنگر.
خوب میه بس یو 2.5 ساعت تقریبا خوب میکنه. Okay, I'm going to do something. Okay. Uh, I'm just putting my laptop here. Oh my god. This is difficult. In times like this, I am very grateful for having a big desk. It makes.
زده اتو میز څخه کار اخلم.
Yeah.
مقصد کافی ده کفایت کوي خو داسې آسانم بیا نه ده.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is while I have this headset to listen to you, I'm going to put an extra thingy here in my ear so that I can receive. Okay, Amrullah Saleh has just tweeted. Let's get.
Chigofta.
Okay. So Mr. Spice Never Quit has said that he won't surrender to the Taliban. I think nobody has asked him to surrender anything, so let me get it up. Yeah. So before we go there, let me get the tweets. Okay, he tweeted 5 minutes ago, and basically he is saying that he's not going to did you guys in the live in the chat, did you guys see that picture of Ashraf Ghani hugging with guys in white clothes? It's circulating all around social media. It's an old picture, it's fake. They claim that the Taliban have entered the presidential palace, and that is a picture of their meeting, but it's fake. So
KJ Khan and Tyson Fury say that they've seen it. I actually haven't seen it, to be honest.
okay. So it's a
You know,
fake
you know,
image.
you know, I'm sharing stuff on Instagram, and like I'm just getting sent stories of people where they're basically saying stop killing Afghans. And once again, like I said last night, where were you guys for 20 years?
Yeah.
If anything, the least Afghans are probably dying now as we speak than opposed to in any period in the last 20 years. But yeah, that's just the state of the diaspora that we have, eh?
Yeah. That's why I'm not active on Instagram, because I might get a heart attack from all the cringe. Okay, so here we have former head of the National Directorate for Security, who is mentioned in various reports as a gross human rights violator, war criminal, and the current vice president of Afghanistan, although we don't know for how long, because it might be a matter of a few minutes, few hours. Amrullah Saleh is saying, I will never, ever, under no circumstances, bow to the Talib terrorists. I will never betray the soul and legacy of my hero, Ahmad Shah Massoud, the commander, the legend, and the guide. I won't disappoint millions who listen to me. I will never be under one ceiling with Taliban. Never. This guy, he talks like a villain. He tweets like a villain from a B movie, you know?
So Tyson Fury is asking, how come there's no mention of Panchshir? There is mention of Panchshir. It will be coming up in a bit.
Yeah.
But funny how Ahmad Shah Massoud is the proclaimed. I mean, Abdullah Abdullah, Ahmad Shah Massoud's son, Amrullah Saleh, are all clinging on to this deceased man from 2 or 3 decades ago as their guide, and they're all doing the complete opposite things. Don't you find that just? I don't even find it funny anymore. I'm just like, it doesn't really have any meaning anymore. Can we stop it now, guys? I'd respect him much more if
Okay.
he came out and he said that, you know, I just won't do it. But he's dragging Ahmad Shah Massoud into it. But
Yeah.
Ahmad Shah Massoud himself, as it turns out, for all of his other flaws that we've discussed, he actually did negotiate with the Taliban quite extensively and even helped them at one point. So clearly, he's got the wrong guide or the wrong idea of his guide or just doesn't know what his guide was actually doing.
Yeah. Okay. I just heard a statement from the spokesman of the Taliban, Zabihullah Mujahid. He's saying basically that the Taliban have been ordered not to enter the city. All military operations in districts surrounding the city have been all cancelled. So they will
They took,
not enter the city. It's not going to happen. But I'm seeing video images of Kabul city right now. On WhatsApp, someone sent a video. It's a total anarchy in the city. Traffic is in a mess. It was already a messy, really uh, conjuncted. It was terrible already. Uh, Now police has gone. Traffic is gone. Uh, it's a total mess.
yeah, but I mean, as long as there isn't any violence and shooting and whatever, I think that's the most important thing. They actually took they took my district, Karabakh. Karabakh is fully under Taliban control, and from what I hear from my family, that happened peacefully.
Okay.
Sangar, your village, is everything okay?
Our village, just east of Kabul, what's so significant about our area is that at night time, for the last 15, 16 years, Taliban were ruling the entire district. And in daytime, the government would appear. So police, security forces, etc., they all appeared in daytime. And then nighttime it was Taliban. But now what I'm hearing is that the police security checkpoints of the police, they're gone, and military presence. There were some bases in and around north and east of Kabul. Most of those areas are abandoned. Everyone has moved into the city, so all the guys, security personnel, are moved either to the city or they're just gone. So it's quiet, it's peaceful, nothing's happening. I haven't really heard anything disturbing yet, but that doesn't mean that nothing is going to happen. It's still quite possible that the situation escalates and things turn out for the worse. So I hope not, but you never know.
We're at a very tentative stage, essentially.
Exactly.
Just before we continue, do you want to tweet out a thing that we're live on Twitter? Because, like I said, you've got 8,000 followers, so you're more in a position to do that than I am.
Yes, 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 I will do that, definitely. Guys, okay.
There is something that's important to mention, by the way. The fact that, and a friend sent me a tweet. So give me a second. So the friend is Muhammad Sadiq or Muhammad Siddiq. You can't really tell in English. Who is the Pakistani special envoy to Afghanistan. Says, I just received a high-level Afghan political delegation, including Speaking of the Walisi Jirga, or the lower house of parliament, Mir Rahman Rahmani, Salahuddin Rabbani, Muhammad Yunus Qanuni, Ustad Muhammad Karim Khalili, Ahmed Zia Massoud, Ahmed-Waleed Massoud, Abdul Latif Pedram, and Khalid Noor.
Basically, Jamiat
The
Islami.
losers.
Yeah.
The losers. And yeah, Revenue also pointed that out in the live chat. Like I said, guys, just bear with us. We're still getting more and more people joining in. We've got like another 20 people in the
Sorry.
last 5 minutes.
Yeah, so all of these guys, they announced, I think, a few days ago that they were going to Islamabad, and now they have decided to go. But now the question is, for
Wait,
what
I think they've visited him in Kabul. So they visited the embassy. I mean, he said I just received a delegation. So we don't know if it's in Islamabad or if it's anywhere else.
Because first it was planned that they would go to Pakistan, to Islamabad. So
all right, should we get started, Sangar? So a lot of people are talking about Panchshir. What is going on in Panchshir, Sangar? Let's get started. We've got enough people here now.
Okay, so Panchshir used to be a district of Parwan province. It is entirely surrounded by mountains, and obviously historically it was just a small district, but because major commander of Jamiat Islami, Ahmad Shah Massoud, was from that district, and they put up a resistance against the Taliban in the 1990s. And after US invasion in Afghanistan, a lot of people from Panchshir who were part of Northern Alliance joined the new government. There were 18 ministers from Panchshir in the first Karzai government.
Many generals. And it's also, just to add to that, it's also worth pointing out that the disproportionate number and configuration of the new government after 2001 was due to the fact that everyone in that government, all of the powerful people, the people with the guns, were from the Northern Alliance, and they were commanders from Panchshir.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Ahmad Shah Massoud had died by then, but the rationale for picking Karzai was that the Pakistani ISI, the Pakistani government, as well as the Americans, basically realized that such a government was deeply sort of had a very narrow support base, which was a district of Parwan province north of Kabul. And it was for that reason that they selected Hamid Karzai. Hamid Karzai was a Pashtun tribal leader from Kandahar. He came from a big family. And that was the only reason to sort of give the new government sort of a semblance of diversity. So what the purpose that Karzai fulfilled was essentially an ambassador for the Northern Alliance to the rest of the country and the world.
Yeah, and so basically, to make a long story short, because the people from Panchshir were overrepresented represented in the post-2001 government, they made a small district and province. So it was a political decision to make Panchshir a province, to give Panchshir a sort of status of being very historically, politically significant. And in the last 20 years, it was one of the safest areas. There was little to no Taliban activity. But in Badakhshan and other neighboring provinces, there was significant Taliban activity. So what has happened now is that, by the way, Amrullah Saleh is also from Panchshir. What has happened now is that a lot of significant criminal gangs in Kabul who have been involved in kidnappings, extortion, etc. Those gangs have been, the government under Ashraf Ghani tried to dismantle those gangs, and most of these gang leaders, like Hasib Quwai Markaz, who was an ex-army officer of the Afghan government, and Abdul Hamid Khorasani, and that guy who was responsible for the Afghan female football team,
Keramuddin
Kiram. All these guys have run away from Kabul, and they are hiding in Panchshir. So Panchshir is a sort of safe haven for those guys. And in the last couple of days, we heard that Abdul Hamid Khorasani has basically announced that he's joining the Taliban. and there are
unilaterally.
Yes, unilaterally, and there are some of these other people, these warlords and gangs in Panchshir, they have picked up weapons, and along with these other stories that we heard in the last month of people resisting the Taliban. So he attacked those people. Okay, there were skirmishes between a Panchshiri warlord who now has apparently joined the Taliban. And other Panchshiri warlords in Panchshir.
There's just one thing that I want to add. Obviously, the fact that these high-profile criminals or gangsters generally are from Panchshir is not a coincidence, and it's not because people from Panchshir are uniquely predisposed towards crime, but it's because these were not just criminal gangs; they were organized criminal gangs, which means that, you know, organized crime by definition means that those criminal leaders enjoy, you know, deep sort of cooperation with officials in government. And obviously, as we mentioned, officials in government were disproportionately from Panchshir. So it's not because all of a sudden after 2001 Panchshiris decided to become criminals, but it's because that a lot of these guys enjoyed the support and they had connections with people in government, and that made organized crime, like we mentioned, something very difficult to control. I just felt we should put that out there because a lot of people are going to get the impression that Panchshiri people are uniquely criminal or sort of inclined towards criminal activity. That's not the case. It's just an instance of organized crime and kinship networks in a new government.
Okay, so we're now switching over to a video. This is from Budkhak area of Kabul. Waleed, it's on WhatsApp. I think you can watch it in the group. But I'm going to just play this video for you guys.
Just give me a second. There's one person in the live chat called Sam M saying it's very difficult to figure out when you guys stream. Follow us on Twitter. That's usually where the announcement happens from Sangar. Especially follow Sangar on Twitter. So yeah,
okay.
You'll know then.
Sorry guys, I cannot play that video because it needs to be rotated. Okay, anyway, so there are people in outskirts of Kabul using their mobile phones and shooting videos of how they see Taliban moving inside the city. While there are specific orders from Taliban leaders that nobody should enter the city. So it's quite confusing what's going on. Are they now entering the city or not? And if they're entering the city, what is the strategy? Because if they all just go and enter the city, there could be skirmishes, there could be fighting, or not. We cannot predict what's going to happen. But in most parts of the city, we have heard that there are looters moving around the city, and they're trying to rob everyone and loot everything, government property, private property. It's a very concerning situation. Here is a picture of a vehicle that was shared with us moments ago. This is yeah, so you see there, this is a vehicle. Taliban are armed and sitting in the car and entering the city. And I also see images of major squares in Kabul being shared with us right now, of people just walking around the city. Cars are all over the place. There is no traffic control or traffic officers. I am seriously concerned. I think that this kind of chaos and anarchy can lead to a lot of casualties. So the government promised to preserve security in the city, but now it doesn't seem to be the case, and the Taliban have said that they will not enter the city. But now we see images of Taliban in cars trying to enter the city. So, yes, very troubling. Waleed, do you have any latest news?
So I spoke to my cousin who lives in Kalola Poshta, which is somewhat central in the city. By the way, Kalola Poshta means rounded rib, right? We have really weird names in Kabul for places like that. But in the morning, he was saying that the Taliban are sort of standing at the gates of the city and they haven't stepped in. And we understood then that there were orders for their fighters to not step into the city. But then I called him just before the live stream, actually. I spoke to him and he said, yes, they are sort of walking around and just mingling with the people and that everything is okay. And I mean, he sounded pretty happy despite the fact that he works for the government, but he sounded pretty happy about that. He was just saying, I hope peace prevailed as a result. But yeah, it does seem that they are now in the city. Um, and yeah,
Okay, so guys, I'm going to switch to the browser because I want to share something with you. So here is a video from Qawai Markaz. Um, let's see. Okay. Okay. Where is... Okay. Let me just add this. Yes. So guys, this is Pajwak press agency. They have shared a video of Qawai Markaz, is an area in Kabul city, and random gang of criminals, they have created a checkpoint on that road, as you can see that in the video, and they are just harassing people and they're robbing people. And this is going on right now. So this has been shared an hour ago. Okay. So, Walid, have you heard anything about what is going on in Doha right now? What is the current status of negotiations? Did
I
you speak
was,
to our friend Habib?
I,
Yeah, please.
yeah, Harun Najafizadeh, who's a pretty credible Afghan journalist, tweeted that Mullah Bradar Akhund was on his way from Doha to Ark, but that doesn't seem to be true. It seems to have been a false alarm in a sort of a sense. I don't, but if that's not true, then I don't really know what is. All I know is that Amrullah Saleh, despite tweeting in capital letters that he'll never surrender to the Taliban, he's nowhere to be seen. And there are rumors that Fazl Fazli um, had left yesterday. Uh,
To
I had
Sweden?
I have no idea, but that he was no longer in Kabul. That President Ghani apparently was still in the palace, in the Ark. Mohib was still there, and yeah, that's the. But it's very difficult to find out what's going on, and I think we should get back to the other point is that there's been an interim government announced with Jalali, who was the former interior minister, at its head. What do you make of that, Sangar?
That's just fake news. Sorry,
It's
because
fake
yeah,
news.
yeah. Okay, so just to answer the question of Sabur Ahmad, where is Abdullah Abdullah? Abdullah Abdullah is currently in Doha. He's in Qatar. He is part of the negotiating team that is meeting with the Americans and the Taliban and the Qataris. Um, and with regards to an interim government, the announcement is made, but I think that just as Osama Qayyum stated that the whole notion of an interim government seems to be pointless at this moment. I would agree with that comment because what was initially the goal of an interim government around March 2020, right after the signing of the Doha deal between the United States and the Taliban. The goal of that interim government was that, you have a government which is at war with the Taliban. So two parties are at war with each other. And in order to end the war, end the conflict, there needs to be a ceasefire, an interim government, so a transitional government, and so that after that moment of peace and stability, then there can be elections or whatever, so that a new government is formed. Now that was the whole concept of a transitional government or a interim government. But since the negotiation between the Taliban and the Afghan government never came to fruition, and eventually it has led to the collapse of the entire regime in Kabul, now it sort of, it has become futile. Like the Taliban can take the city any moment now. So the
But
whole
wouldn't you say, I get what everyone is saying. Why would the Taliban do so? But in the interests of the nation, would it not be better than, rather than just having a government sort of replaced, the elements of the former regime be incorporated into a provisional sort of setup to smooth a transition to a new government, as well as prevent the monopolization of power by one party, albeit that one party, the Taliban, are the strongest faction in Afghanistan militarily, politically, and they represent a large number of Afghans. They may even say the majority or all Afghans, but we know that no political party in any country can represent the entirety of that country. So would it not be better to have sort of an interim administration whereby as much as possible of the previous regime's, let's say, assets, the benefits that the previous regime provided are sort of preserved, and those are sort of maintained going forward into a future setup? Wouldn't you say that that has some currency, Sangar, that sort of line of reasoning?
Definitely. And that was exactly the reason why so many people advocated for an interim government. And the reason why now I think it has become much more difficult is because first we had a situation where on the one hand you had the Taliban and on the other hand you had the government, and in between there were a lot of people in Afghanistan who advocated for peace and stability, and there were a lot of people who are not currently part of the government in Afghanistan. They are also not part of the Taliban, but they are people who have significant level of support and backing from people in Afghanistan. Now, when we were saying that we need an interim government, the idea was to get a group of such people together and form an interim government so that they can preserve the state institutions, the functioning of the government, etc. That whole idea, that concept was rejected because obviously you see even right now Ashraf Ghani, the president, is trying to, he has basically now admitted that he has to go, but there is no official statement about how and what, etc. But it had to escalate to this point that we are right now. And that's so concerning. But then on the other hand, what you just said about functioning of state apparatus, public services, the bureaucracy, etc., I would say that while there is some sort of functioning government in Afghanistan, it is very limited and it's very dysfunctional. So an interim government would have been the ideal solution. it would have been necessary to have a transition, a peaceful transition like that. But I wouldn't say that that would be very functional and in any way.
No, of course not. But just to preserve the little that already sort of exists,
Yes.
because what the problem is with a lot of these institutions is that they exist and they're limited, but the basic sort of the foundational stones are there, and they can be reformed if the political will and the necessary sort of dynamism is employed.
Okay.
But if you sort of completely uproot,
Sorry, Walid. Toulon News is saying that Ashraf Ghani has left the country.
where has he gone?
His home country, the United States. Yes, yes, he has left the country.
Let me
So
see.
yeah, just I will share the print screen here. Just 1 second. Ooh.
But Talor News has been reporting a lot of stuff recently. Is this even credible?
That's a very good question. Yes,
Like we know that Talor can be questioned quite strongly.
yes, yes, definitely, definitely, and yeah. Oh man, I just don't know what to say. This is Mr. Ashraf Ghani, who said that he will never, never, ever give up power. Now,
You know what the worst part is?
yeah,
The worst part is that if Ashraf Ghani had actually listened to our advice, he wouldn't have had to come to this. If anything, we were we were giving him really good advice.
he should have listened to the Afghan Eye podcast.
Yeah, literally, literally. But
Okay,
I
so
guess he surrounded himself with yes men and people that were more, more focused on looting the country until the last possible minute before fleeing.
yeah, and now, so Tolo News came out with a statement. Uh, yes, everybody, yeah, sort of more people are confirming that that's the case. Okay, but it's not 100%. Reports say that Ashraf Ghani has left for Tajikistan. What's with Tajikistan? Since when is Tajikistan so popular? What is with these guys all trying to go Tajikistan?
ولاك خبر يا ما. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently, one person in our live chat is saying that news sources allege that he's flown to a third country from Tajikistan. SA4, can you share the news source with us?
Yeah. So Umaid Farouqi is a former, no, he's a foreign relation advisor at Ministry of what? Yeah, he's a senior presenter of a political shows at Tulu News, Umaid Farouk. He claims that President Ashraf Ghani has left the country for Tajikistan. Now, where he has gone, that we don't know that.
Sabur Ahmad is saying this is a historical moment. I think the last couple of live streams of ours have, I don't know, maybe in 100 years' time, people will watch our live streams. And, you know, for to get the best possible sort of insight into how Afghans across the world were viewing, and Afghans and non-Afghans alike were viewing events as they unfolded in Afghanistan.
Oh, okay. So breaking news: somebody claims that Kamal Nasser Usili,
The MP from Khost.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm getting an urgent call. I need to pick this one up. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll take it from here. So Fiona Smith is saying Mir Rahman Rahmani has stressed the commitment many times. Yes, Sangar, obviously we can still hear him. He's got a call, I presume, from Afghanistan. He's speaking in Dari. But yeah, I'm aware that Mir Rahman, sorry, Ra- Imam Ali Rahman, the president of Tajikistan, um,
چیز همی پلیس میگن که پلیس چور چپاول شروع کرده لباس های چی خود کشیدن و در قوای مرکز در چند جای پاتک جور کردن مقرر استاد میکنن
you
مردم
know,
سکوت میکنن
eavesdropping on people's conversations
حوزه
are haram in Islam, but this isn't really eavesdropping because he forgot to mute himself. Yeah, I get, and there's no point in me talking either because you're not going to be able to hear me. Um,
و چیز میگن که میگن که چیز است
I can't mute it
شروع
because
کشف
Sangar's
طالبان رفتن
basically
تاجیکستان چیکار
Sangar
میکنن
is in
و
control of
چیز
everything.
در بودخاک خاک جبار در کمپانی در چیز سروبی در کل جا چیز طالبان آمدن طیارای امریکایی دور شهر پرواز میکنه که چیز طالبان ندارن در این حال هلیکوپترهای چینوک از سر میدان میخیزه و طرف چی میره طرف نه از سر سفارت امریکا میخیزه بار میبره کوچ میبره میدان هوایی بازم طیاره کلان بار میکنه میبره مقصد چیز امریکا در حالت خروج هستن و چیز میدان هوایی کابل هم پروازها کم است که
I can't mute
اکثر
Sangar. I
سراسر
wish I
کشور
could,
مجبورین
but I
که
can't.
چیزا میخواین که برای منتها جلوشان میگیرن و خلیلی و خلیلی و یونس قانونی و ترا کلشان رفتن اسلام آباد
Yeah. So, anyways, guys, you guys ask me questions and I'll continue to answer them and speak over Sangar. Okay. So, what questions do we have, guys? Once again, you know, when you don't have when you don't have yeah, okay, Sangar is back. Yes, Sabur Ahmad, I do believe that an interim government is the best option. I believe that that a monopolization of power by one armed faction is not necessarily the optimal solution. Walid, that Sangar here di suchedzan mute ke tu
Yeah.
khabar di tu
Yeah.
de khob ya ham khair
My
da.
family is very concerned. I just
Yeah,
talked to my family.
how they
They
doing?
they can't reach anybody. There is no internet connection, so they are calling me to ask what's going on.
I see, I see. But apparently, Rifayat Islamis asked the question saying that apparently and Farhan Vlogs mentioned it earlier, that there are reports of a lot of looting going on in Kabul at the moment. What are we to make of that?
Yes, so the video that I just shared earlier here of Pajwak News, that was shot in Kwai Markas, and that's basically what's going on. These looters, they are trying to take advantage of this situation because while the government has given people assurance that they will preserve security in the city, there is very little security. So a lot of people are running away, escaping in uniforms. There is even a guy who claims that in Arzan Qimat of Kabul, a few armed officers have surrendered to a guy that they identified as a Talib, but that guy who is a Talib is unarmed. So they came with their guns and said, "We are surrendering. Can you provide the security?" And that guy has said, "Okay, sit down here and I will make sure that nothing happens to you." But then they say that those same security officers who surrendered to that man, that they were also robbed. Their vests and some of their equipment was taken away from them. So it's sort of an anarchy. What we are hearing right now is that a lot of looting and pillaging is going on, including by former police officers and army and government people. It's very concerning because now if I
Plot twist.
yes
Okay, let's speculate here. What if these looters are Taliban that are undercover, that are trying to precipitate chaos and panic in the city so that the Taliban can come in and, you know, have an excuse to secure the city.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very plausible theory. It's
And it's
definitely
not,
very
the
plausible.
Taliban are not above using deceit and deception, just as no political party are. War is deception. And
Yeah,
if there isn't peace at the moment, then that means that there's war. So, what do you
yeah.
think, Sangar? Do you think these looters could just potentially be Punjabi ISI agents?
Yeah, I think it's not very plausible because the thing is that uh, any insurgent movement uh, has generally its own political agenda and strategy. But in any insurgent movement, there are always rogue elements. Just
Hmm.
like in any government, you have also corrupt people, etc. So just by assuming that these people are in fact real Taliban who are doing the robbing and pillaging in Kabul right now, we would say that it conflicts with their interests because if their men enter the city right now, how are they entering the city? There are B-52s, attack helicopters. There are war thugs. You know the AC-10 war those very heavy. Close air support of American close air support is flying around Kabul, Apache helicopters and everything. They are preventing Taliban from entering the city. So if they try to move into the city, they will be attacked. There were bombings in just south of the city. There were airstrikes just between Maidan Wardak and Kabul, and many Taliban have been killed. So I don't really think that that's a plausible theory that the Taliban have already entered and are because here is the thing. Here is the thing the guys who are doing all the looting right now in Kabul identify as Taliban. So why would Taliban pretend to be looters who identify as Taliban? You see what I'm saying?
Plausible deniability.
It's just too far fetched. Sorry, but,
Fair enough. Fair
but
enough.
the thing is that what people have seen is that there are many guys currently trying to loot everything. It's almost dark now in Kabul,
Hmm.
so I am very concerned about darkness because once it's dark in the city, then it's going to be very scary.
Okay, so we've also got people in the chat asking if Amrullah Saleh has actually fled to Panchshir and starting an anti-Talib insurgency there. What do you make of that, Sangar?
Um, that would have been a very logical thing to do for him because he has obviously said that he will not give up. So he may have hopped on his bicycle, uh, his famous bicycle,
Can you
to
explain the story behind the bicycle?
yeah. So basically, Amrullah Saleh he has done quite a few interviews, these human interest interviews because in Afghanistan the current media is often described as one of the gains of the last 20 years, free media, but basically the media treats all these warlords and politicians as cult leaders. So they create this cult of personality, like in communist countries. You have their pictures everywhere, and when the journalists, when they do an interview with them, it's so
They almost act like sycophants.
yes, exactly. And there have been many such interviews with him where he is either in Panchshir and sitting on a rock and then just staring at the mountains, or he is going on a bicycle ride. And he has also posted many pictures of himself riding a bicycle on social media. So, yeah, that's why I said that he might have hopped on his bicycle.
He also issued a challenge telling everyone that if they doubted there was security in Afghanistan, that they should go around rural parts on a bicycle, and then,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's something like that, right?
He said that he can go all across the country on a bicycle because yes, his government is responsible for security, so he can do that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he can.
But he can only do so with, bodyguards armed to the
Yeah,
teeth riding
yeah.
with him. So,
So if he is in Panchshir right now and he is starting a resistance, then yeah, maybe should start the resistance against Hamid Khorasani, because that guy claims now to be Taliban in Panjshir. And we have also been receiving unconfirmed reports of authorities in Panjshir getting ready to surrender to the Taliban.
so whilst we're at Panjshir, where is Ahmad Shah Massoud's son in all of this? Wasn't he supposed to? And once again, for those that were here in the live stream last night, I said that these experts have, the imposed experts, the ones who aren't experts at all but have all of the access and all of the backing. They were sort of characterizing Ahmad Shah Massoud's son and his, as his father 2.0, and that it would be a north versus south thing, and Afghanistan would break up, and Panjshir would become the bastion of resistance. And Ahmad Shah Massoud's son, they say when Alexander the Great ascended to the throne, he did everything possible to distinguish himself from his father, to become his own man. And his father, I believe, was Philip. But in any case,
Yeah.
Ahmad Shah Massoud's son has the complete opposite approach, because his beard style, his hairstyle, his clothing, even the way he wears the pakol is entirely just trying to sort of recreate his father's persona. But as it turned out, as we all sort of suspected, um, it doesn't seem that he has that sort of, that level of command in Panjshir, right? So do we know where he is?
No idea where he is.
Oh,
He might.
apparently he's in Islamabad.
Yeah, yeah. He was part of that delegation who visited Mohammed Sadiq.
Okay.
Somebody's sending an audio clip where they say that this is from ARG, and Mullah Baradar, along with Karzai and Abdullah Abdullah, are in ARG right now. Let me just listen to this. What's being just. No, no. It's just something. I don't think that's real. But somebody claims that Mullah Baradar with Abdullah Abdullah and Karzai have traveled from Doha to ARG. So
So AYK in the live chat is asking, why do you guys always point fingers only at Tajiks? So to AYK, I would say that the likes of President Ashraf Ghani, Hamdullah Mohib, Fazl Fazli, Gul Agha Shirzai, a lot of these people are people that are not Tajiks. So I don't know if you just joined the live stream at the point in which we were started to criticize Ahmad Massoud and Ahmad Shah Massoud, but I would probably say that people politicians of Pashtun ethnicity and background have probably borne more of a brunt of our criticism than those of Tajik background. I mean, I'm not counting here, but unless you joined the live stream 5 minutes ago or you've been asleep the whole time, that is definitely not the case. And if you haven't been able to detect that Pashtun politicians have not escaped our criticism, then I would kind of humbly suggest that you go read our articles and read our activities since we started the AFGHANEYE podcast, because it's not an issue of ethnicity here. But in any case, let's talk about Islamabad. Why, Sangar, the Taliban are Pakistani Punjabi proxies? Okay, that is the narrative. But
yes,
now we've got,
and so are we, by the way.
so are we, of
Yeah.
course. But why is it that when the Pakistani Punjabi proxy is on the verge of a resounding victory in Afghanistan, that those politicians and figures with whom the Taliban have not yet made peace, they're now in Islamabad? What are we supposed to make of that?
This goes back to the 1980s. Okay, so what happened in the after the communist revolution is that a lot of these political parties who have been in power for the last 20 years in Kabul, these warlords, etc., they have always, preserved their connection with Pakistan because their parties were founded in Pakistan in the late 70s and in the 1980s. And they received a lot of support from the Pakistanis throughout the 1980s. And during the civil war, there was sort of a situation where they weren't all being supported by Pakistanis. They fell all sort of out of favor, but they have historic ties with Pakistani establishment, like with Jamaat-e-Islami, a Muslim League, with obviously with the security apparatus, the Pakistani generals, etc. So I would expect that the reason why they have decided now to all collectively go to Islamabad is because they think that maybe if a future government is created in Afghanistan, all of them will be exiled. They won't be able to exert any sort of power in Afghanistan. So they may be in Islamabad trying to garner support from the Pakistani authorities. Because as we talked about this before in our podcast, in our live stream, Pakistan does not support an Islamic emirate in Afghanistan. Where they do not support a government entirely ruled only by Taliban. Pakistan is in favor of a sort of, how do you say, an inclusive government where everyone is part of the system. And the reason why they want that is because as we also talked about, Pakistanis are afraid that if an Islamic jihadist group like Taliban take over entire Afghanistan, other parties in Pakistan will say, well, if they can do it, then why shouldn't we? And they will feel mobilized to, start insurgency in Pakistan and overthrow the government. And for that reason, Pakistanis, they rather have a democratically elected government, an inclusive government in Afghanistan. So these guys who fell out of favor in Kabul or sort of are going to end up in exile, possibly, traveling to Pakistan, to Islamabad now makes sense, because then they can become the new Pakistan-backed entity in Afghanistan. They can be supported by Pakistanis as a group.
But do they really do the likes, or do the tired and old likes of Ahmad Zia, Ahmed-Waleed, Muhaqiq, do these guys really have that kind of clout anymore in which they can cause trouble for the Taliban on the grassroots at this level? Like,
I don't think so.
If we like, let's just look at Ustad Atta and Dostum, right? If Ismail Khan, do these guys really have that sort of command, that sort of following that could cause trouble for the Taliban?
I don't think so, and that's also something that I have always been suspecting, is that after the US invasion in 2001, as these parties like Hizb Islami, Jamiat Islami, Hizb Wahdat, etc., as these parties, a lot of their different commanders became very rich and powerful, their hierarchy was destroyed. Their hierarchy
they sold their hierarchy for a lot of money, basically.
Yes. So now they are basically small islands of power, small groups, and they only survive thanks to presence of
CIA black bags of
yes,
cash.
yeah, and their role in the government. But without the government and without the presence of foreign troops, they are very marginalized. They're very small, and they are also extremely disunited. They have a lot of internal conflicts. Only recently there was a huge, almost a military clash, between supporters of Salahuddin Rabbani and Atta Muhammad Noor. And that's inside Hizb, Jamiat Islami. So these guys are not united, and they also don't have the support of the people, because they said that they will resist against the Taliban and that they will fight against the Taliban. You saw all the rallying and chanting and videos on social media, the Allahu Akbars and all the guns and whatnot. But did they put up a fight? No. Nobody resisted the Taliban. So it means that they don't have any power. People are not willing to fight for them. And this is also why they all have gathered together collectively and have approached the Pakistanis now. Because they know each and every one of them on their own is nothing. So they are now forced to become a collective again, the Northern Alliance, and then now approach the Pakistanis.
Okay, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Before you say something, I have a new statement from Dr. Abdullah Abdullah.
yeah.
We will play that in a minute. Yeah. Okay. So say what you wanted to say, please.
No, I was just going to say, would it not be sensible for the Pakistanis, now that a group with whom they enjoy somewhat cordial relations, that is the Taliban, now in power, would they really risk trying to alienate that group? Because the Taliban can cause problems for Pakistan as well.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
so I think we should be careful and let's see how it goes, kind of thing. I personally think that the Pakistanis will tell them, you have to basically acknowledge the reality on the ground, and these that's basically that. We're not going to be able to offer you much support, maybe just moral support.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what. Oh,
Tasawi. Chishada.
okay. So, okay, let me just put this up. Guys, this is very embarrassing. Abdullah Abdullah has posted a video on social media. Basically, okay, I'm going to play the video for you guys.
I guess we're going to have to translate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just play it once so we can all listen to it.
You can.
خداوندم راش محاسبه میکنه و مردم افغانستان هم قضاوت خدا خواد کنه. بازم صبر و حوصله مندی براتان استعداد دارم، توفیق براتان استعداد دارم و خداوند کمکتان کنه، یاریتان کنه که این شب و روز سخت انشالله سپری شوه و
Okay, so basically that was.
Welcome to the. Welcome.
Sorry guys, I'm having glitches. So let me just translate what he just said. He said the former president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, has left the country.
Abandoned the country. Tarkada.
Yes, and he says God will basically do muhasibah with him. He will hold him accountable for what he has done. I wish that you all are patient. So he's telling the people of Afghanistan to be patient. Yeah, so may Allah help you and support you under these trying circumstances. And I hope that there is a way, a path to life, security, a peaceful future for the people of Afghanistan. So basically,
Damn, Sangar, whilst we were on air, our
yeah,
president became no longer president.
yeah,
Mental. So who's
yes.
the new president? Do we have a president?
I think we don't know. We don't know. We have to just, while
So,
we are on the
so
live stream,
guys,
we have
as
to.
far as we know, let it be said that as we know at the moment, speaking right now, Afghanistan does not have a president. According to the head of the National Council for Reconciliation, the former president, Ashraf Ghani, abandoned, and Tark is abandoned. He has abandoned Afghanistan, and he is praying that Ashraf Ghani is held to account by God. Hikmat J is saying there's a very capable man named Hikmatyar available to take that position. um, yeah, I don't know if Hikmat J is positively inclined toward Hikmatyar because of the name, but yeah. Sangar, could we just have that video played once more?
Yes, of course. Okay.
And we'll play that video once more, and then we've been made aware that Karzai, Hamid Karzai, has also released a video. So let's just play this video one more time.
Yes. Okay. So media, Abdullah. Let's go. Here we go.
رئیس جمهور پیشین افغانستان ترک کرد و کشور و ملت در توی یک حالت قرار داد. خداوند امرایش محاسبه میکنه و مردم افغانستان هم قضاوت خود خواد کرده. بازم صبر و حوصله‌مندی براتان استعداد دارم، توفیق براتان استعداد دارم.
By the way, if any journalists, people in the media, if you're watching the live stream, please don't call me. I cannot do any interviews right now.
Likewise.
Yeah, I will do that after the live stream. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Because I don't want to sound rude or I can't do interviews. That's not the case, but we have a commitment here. We are going to now see what Hamid Karzai has said.
FN Hussein is saying, where is Abdullah Abdullah's suits? In all honesty, I think he looks better in native dress than in those suits.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing, is that, just a side note, Abdullah Abdullah has quite a big head, okay?
Yeah.
If you are a person who has a big head, you should not wear very tight clothes, especially if you have very small shoulders, okay? Being well dressed as a man, everybody's saying, oh, AFGHANEYE live stream, we now get fashion tips, but that's, just bear with me. As a man, if you don't have broad shoulders, you shouldn't wear very tight clothes, but because it will make you look even smaller. If you have a big head, you shouldn't wear very tight stuff, and you should try to wear more
advice
casual.
for myself
here.
Yeah.
No. But this guy, Abdullah Abdullah, what he does, he goes to Milan, or Rome, or London.
He goes to
Savile
Valentino in Knightsbridge.
Yeah, and he picks up suits that are for 21-year-old guys, okay? 21-year-old guys who are, bon vivant type of people. And he dresses up like 21-year-old guys who are basically going to a frat party of millionaires. But his head, he has an old man head, and he has a big head, and he doesn't exercise. You know what kind of sport he does? Table tennis. You know,
Which isn't really exercise.
no, yeah, it is. Yeah, it requires a lot of stamina, but you need to build up some muscle, man. Come on. So he has very small shoulders. He plays table tennis, and he wears those suits.
Someone, Mina W is not impressed. She's saying, seriously, are you just judging someone's fashion sense in these serious times? I'm
Yeah,
sorry
sorry,
if we offended you, Mina, but honestly, it started off with me saying that Abdullah looks better in native dress.
yeah,
You know, that's just, you know, our opinion. Maybe he should
yeah,
stick to that. And also, over the years, after like 2001, you saw a lot of these Kabul bubble people wearing Western suits. But as time has gone on, even during the times that I visited Afghanistan, you're seeing more of the common people and the authorities, the officials, going back to Afghan dresses, which for Abdullah, I believe is a positive development because honestly, I think he looked pretty good there. Notwithstanding my disagreements with him personally, but I think you took things a bit too seriously, Mina. But yeah, anyways, so let us go to Hamid Karzai's
Did
video.
you find it?
No, I heard it was on Khalid Amiri's Twitter.
Khalid Amiri, you know, he claimed that Amrullah Saleh has left the country, and it didn't turn out to be true.
But this is a video of
Oh,
Hamid
yeah,
Karzai.
this is from 30. This is from 30 minutes ago. Let me put it on the browser. So
Do you need me to send you the link?
no, I have the link, but
Okay,
can you translate it?
of course.
Have you heard the video already?
No.
Okay. Can you listen to the video? It's
Okay.
just a minute and a half.
All right, Sangar, play it on the YouTube and mute yourself on Skype. So the only thing I hear is the video and then pause.
All right. Okay. Just 1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mina W said please revert to giving us news. Lots of people are worried right now. We're sorry, Mina. We got sidetracked. It won't happen again.
Okay. Okay, so Waleed.
All right, mute yourself there, and I'll translate. When it pauses, I'll translate with what's been said so far.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم خدمت همشهریان عزیز کابل عرض می‌دارم که ما و فامیلم دخترکان و اولادایم همینجا به همراه شما هستیم و آرزو داریم که مسائل کشور ما و پایتخت ما به خیر و فلاح و از طریق صلح و مذاکرات صلح حل شود.
Okay, pause it there.
از
So what he's
نیروهای
saying is
امنیتی
that my beloved, my dear respected countrymen, fellow Kabulis, I would like to tell you that you know, we hope that these issues and these issues of our country and of our capital sort of come to a peaceful end. I'm sort of remembering off the top of my head here, and me and my little girls and my children sort of also want the same thing. If we could continue, Sangar.
از نیروهای تحریک اسلامی طالبان میخوایم که در هر جایی که هستن امنیت جان و مال مردم نگاه کنن و توجه به امنیت جان و مال مردم بکنن. هم نیروهای
he said we request the military forces of the Islamic movement of the Taliban, wherever they may be, to preserve the life and the wealth of the people residing therein. Play, Sangar.
ما هم نیروهای تحریک اسلامی طالبان و با مردم سلام میکنم که با آرامش در خانه های خود باشن. ما در کوشش هستیم که با بزرگان طالبان از راه مسالمت و برادری و وطنداری و وطن دوستی مشکل افغانستان حل شود. به می خاطر خواست بامرای شما.
By the way, guys, I'm sort of remembering as I go along. It's not going to be direct verbatim translation, but I'll try to go as much as I can. He's saying that we also, I would like to tell people where the Taliban are to sort of stay in their homes calmly sort of without any worry or anxiety, and that we are trying through brotherhood, through peaceful negotiations, through patriotism, and through compassion to end the problems of Afghanistan as they stand at this moment.
ما صحبت کنم تا استراب در دل ما راه نتا و به جرأت و متانت موضوع کشور خود با حل کنیم. باز سلام میکنم بر نیروهای امنیتی خود ما و تحریک اسلامی طالبان که هر جایی که هستند جان و مال مردم حفظ کنند و نگذارن افراد شرانداز و پتاتریک و دزدار که زندگی مردم به خطر بندازند. سلامت باشین، آباد باشین تا که دوباره
I call upon our security forces, as in those of the government in Kabul, as well as I once again call upon our security forces and the Taliban to not allow those who seek to sow discord or corruption and thieves and looters to basically damage the lives and the wealth of people. And I think he's nearly finished, and he's just going to end with a standard dua. That was basically it. Okay, fair enough. So nothing at the end of the day very substantial. Nothing we didn't know.
Yes, so I'm back, guys. Let me, yeah. So you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it further confirms that President Ashraf Ghani has left the country. He has abandoned the country, and the people who were pleading with him to please make peace, please negotiate with the Taliban, people like Abdullah Abdullah, Hamid Karzai.
The AFGHANEYE podcast.
The AFGHANEYE podcast. Now, we're not in Kabul, but Hamid Karzai is there with his children, with his daughter. I think that was a very, very, from a political perspective, you know, from a communication and strategic communication perspective, that was a very wise decision of Hamid Karzai to appear in Kabul, in his house, in his garden, with his daughters. This guy, Hamid Karzai, I don't like his politics. I have never liked him, but that was very smart. That was very smart because it gives a signal both to the Taliban that, look, I'm not running away. I'm not scared of you. Okay, it gives a signal. It's a signal for the people of Afghanistan. Look, I am here. I'm staying. I'm here with my family.
Declaration of him being sort of a leader that they can trust and rely upon. KJ Khan is saying that there was absolutely no substance in that. I agree. The speech itself was bland, but there is a symbolism behind it. But Sangar, we're hearing from our live stream that Zabiullah Mujahid has posted an announcement that the Taliban need to now enter Kabul, so in order to secure it.
Yeah.
And that is on Twitter. Can we go on Zabiullah Mujahid's Twitter?
Yes, we can do that. As I just hope that you don't get any problems with prevent. The Kabul Kharta, the Mujahidino,
Can you put it on the thingy, please?
Yes. Okay. Let's go back to...
And Mohammed Ara is saying that Mohib has fled to Tajikistan.
What's with Tajikistan and these guys? What's so... I love Tajikistan. I've been to Tajikistan. I've spent some time in Dushanbe. Great food, great people. But why are these people not going to America, Dubai, or any other place? What's with this sudden interest in Tajikistan?
Infatuation with Tajikistan. Okay, that
Okay.
is.
Okay,
Could you
can you see
enlarge
it?
on that because I don't have my glasses?
Okay, it's all right. I will read and then you can translate. کابل ښار ته د مجاهدینو د داخلېدو د اړتیا په اړه د اسلامي امارت اعلامیه.
Okay, so which means that the announcement with regards to the entrance of the Mujahideen of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan into the city of Kabul. Islami Emirat Saharia wa Elamiyah Khbarakra, the Islamic Emirate released an announcement today in which it was said, I'm going to have to wear my glasses.
چې زموږ ځواکونه له کابل څخه د باندې دي او موږ نه غواړو له نظامی لارې کابل ته داخل شو.
So the Islamic Emirate this morning launched an announcement saying that in which it was said that our forces are on the outskirts of Kabul and we do not want to enter Kabul militarily.
خو اوس راپورونه را رسیږي چې د کابل په ښار کې حوزې تخلیه شوي دي. پوستې د امنیت ساتلو دنده پریښې ده.
Okay, let me just translate that. However, now we have received reports have been received that in Kabul, Hawzeh Takhliya. So how do we
حوزه is a
translate
police
Police-
district.
Yeah, it's an administrative police
Yeah.
district. So police districts have been evacuated, and security checkpoints have been abandoned. Hamdada Wazarat.
I will read it for you, okay?
Okay.
همدار ډول وزارتخانې هم تخلیه شوي دي او د کابل ادارې امنیتي کسان تښتېدلي دي.
Similarly, ministries have also been evacuated, and the security personnel of the Kabul administration have also fled.
نو د دې لپاره چې خدای مکړه په کابل کې عام چور او تالان ګډ نشي.
سو
استفاده کوونکي افراد خلکو ته ضرر او صدمه ونه رسوي. اسلامي امارت خپلو ځواکونو ته امر وکړ چې د کابل هغو ساحو ته داخل شي لکه کومو څخه چې د دښمن تللي او سیمې د چور او تالان له خطر سره مخ دي.
Okay. So as a result, in order that, God forbid, so God forbid, in order to prevent, God forbid, the proliferation of looting and stealing and the exploitation and exploitative individuals damaging and harming, inflicting damage and harm, the Islamic Emirate has ordered its mujahideen to enter those areas of Kabul in which the enemy has left, and the enemy has fled, and the areas in which stealing and looting are the sort of dangers. They are confronted with the danger of stealing and looting.
بناً د کابل ښاریان دې له مجاهدینو څخه هیڅ ویره نه محسوسوي.
In any case, the residents of Kabul should not sense any fear, feel any fear toward the mujahideen.
زموږ ځواکونه به په ډیر آرام سره کابل ښار ته داخليږي.
Our forces will enter Kabul in tranquility.
له هیڅ چا سره کار نه لري.
They have nothing to do with anyone.
حکومتي نظامی او ملکی کارکونکي دې ډاډه اوسي چې هیڅوک په هغوی کار نه لري.
Government, military, and civilian personnel should be confident that no one has sort of any issue with them or any, they won't be confronted with any sort of issue.
هیڅ مجاهد ته اجازه نشته چې دچا کورته داخل شي یا
No mujahid has the permission to enter someone's home
یا څوک وزوروي
or to bother anyone
او یا دچا د آزار او اذیت سبب شي.
or to become the means for people to be to become bothered or harmed.
Okay.
And that was a statement of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan that was released earlier today. Damn,
Okay.
our translation and reading skills aren't bad, you know.
Maybe we should start a service.
Honestly.
Okay. So there is a friend of ours who is in Kabul and he has sent a voice message. I just need to just quickly listen to what he has to say because this may be urgent and important. Just one moment, please. Okay, so in front of Arg, the presidential palace, and near Pashtunistan Wat, that's a very historic square in Kabul with blue fountains, etc. He says he walked just past that area near Arg and he saw a couple of SUVs, 4x4, those pickup trucks, typical Taliban pickup trucks with Taliban moving in the direction of the presidential palace. And this message was sent to us 3 minutes ago.
I see. Damn, things are moving quickly. Sangar, do you want to send out another tweet reminding people that we're on?
Can you do that, please?
All right, sure.
You have my you can use my account.
Of course. So,
Okay. And no, you tweet it with your account, and I will tweet it with mine.
you know what? I would, but it's just that your account has a lot more followers, and I'm not complaining. You know, that's just the way it is. You tweet a lot more than me,
Okay.
so you have more followers. But just whilst we're here, because we're pretty much up to date with events on the ground as they are transpiring.
Yes.
So,
Man.
live.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Waleed. The question is, what is the UK government response to events in Afghanistan? They seem quiet, but I'm wondering what position they will take. Focus in all Washington, D.C. think tanks is on blaming Pakistan and worry about increasing strategic space for China.
I will answer that question in detail once I've just sent out this tweet. Such as President. So, Sangar, would you be so kind as to repeat the question for me one more time?
Yes. So, what is the UK government's response to events in Afghanistan? They seem quiet, but I'm wondering what position they will take.
Okay, so with regard to the UK's position on Afghanistan, a while ago there was an announcement, or sort of the defense minister of Britain said that that if the Taliban came to power, the British would work with them. Now, in Britain, just as in most of the West, we are currently inundated with propaganda, much of it basically similar to the last 20 years, but concentrated in the span of a few days. We had the BBC talking to Suhail Shaheen earlier today, where the standard questions were asked about girls' schools and women, and what does Suhail Shaheen say to Afghan women, etc., etc. I believe the Daily Mail also reposted the story of 12-year-old sex slaves being sort of captured by the Taliban and being traded and forcefully wed. So essentially, there's nothing really unique or exceptional about the coverage in the UK of Afghanistan. With regard to the British government, there is an MP of the Labour Party, who are currently the opposition party, called Zahra Sultan. And she's basically saying that the UK has abandoned Afghanistan and abandoned Afghan women. Boris Johnson, I believe, convened a cabinet meeting a couple of days ago in which they basically said that whatever happens in Afghanistan, we're not really going to get involved, except and only to assist in the evacuation of our embassy staff. And that is basically that. So the UK seems essentially on board with most of the West, America included, with which it enjoys a strong relationship, and that is that Ghani Baba's government is or was no longer worth defending, and that they favored a negotiated settlement. I believe a couple of months ago, rather, one of the chiefs of staff of the British Army visited Kabul and said that the Taliban have no reason to do jihad now because the British and the international forces had left. Now that obviously, by implication, means that there was a reason to do jihad for the Taliban whilst the British were there. So unwittingly, the British chief of staff, I believe, I forgot his name, but unwittingly, the British chief of staff actually just justified the Taliban and strengthened their propaganda for them. Because if you're saying, now we're not here, you shouldn't wage the jihad, the implication is, whilst we were here, you were justified in waging it. But essentially, I think that the UK itself is also in favor of a negotiated settlement. However, I think that a couple of days ago, the same defense minister was circulating sort of fears about international terrorism and Al-Qaeda. And I believe that there will sort of be pressure applied on the Taliban with regard to issues of human rights and sort of a transitional government and a coalition government and power sharing.
Okay, we have to switch over to another significant statement that has been made by acting Minister of Defense Bismillah Mohammadi.
Who was the target of a Taliban attack a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. So Bismillah Mohammadi is a prominent jihadi warlord from Jamiat Islami, and he was Minister of Defense. I think he was also Minister of Interior Affairs in the past in Afghanistan. Then he was removed because of corruption and other allegations. He has always been seen in very shady gatherings, including Bachabazi. And this guy was recently, a couple of months ago, appointed as Minister of Defense by Ashraf Ghani. And he said that he will defeat the Taliban and defend the Republic. And he also endorsed the concept of mobilizing militias, etc. And when Lashkargah was being bombarded and a lot of civilians were killed, the Taliban retaliated against him personally in Kabul, in the secure area with where all these powerful people live. And there was a very powerful car bomb. They tried to enter his house, but the attackers were killed. So now he has issued a statement. In a tweet he says, دست ما را از پشت بستند و وطن را فروختند لعنت به غنی و دار دستش. Okay.
So they tied our hands behind. They tied our hands from behind, sold the country. I'll be honest with you. I'm obviously not a native Dari speaker. I don't know what Dar Dasta means. But he's saying curse on Ghani and his Dar Dastas. What is a Dar Dasta, Sangar?
I don't know. That's not something I don't know what it means.
Fair enough. But if anyone would be so kind to tell us what Dar Dasta means, that would be great. Osama Qayyum is saying someone on Twitter tweeted that Dar Dasta means his staff, him and his people. Thank you for listening. It means Ghani and his people, his team, his close circle.
Yeah.
Um,
Chat, you
some
guys are great.
you guys are great
I love you
because
guys.
yeah, yesterday as well. When I didn't know what
Yeah.
Mahal and Masloon
Yeah.
meant, these
Yeah.
guys were just bang, they were there.
Yes.
Um, but Osama Qayyum is saying someone on Twitter tweeted that whenever Ghilzai takes power in Kabul, it ends in chaos and bloodshed. Taraki Amin Najib Mullah Omar Ghani Haybatullah. What is the cunning resemblance? Well, first of all, I hate to disappoint the person. Mawlawi Haybatullah is not a Ghilzai, he's a Durrani. Second of all, Hamid Karzai was a Durrani, and Kabul Afghanistan was in chaos and bloodshed then. It is just a coincidence. And yeah, I'm not really a fan of ethnic determinism or tribal determinism. And if we go into it too much, it's just going to lead you to a tangent that doesn't really have much fruit. The only thing that I would say is that my condolences to the Ahmadzai tribe in particular, because they probably had the worst political representation in the history of the country. And that's unfortunate because I have a lot of Ahmadzai friends and I actually have Ahmadzai relatives and they're lovely people. And funnily enough, none of them have been in favor of the last two Ahmadzai presidents that we had. But other than that, I'm not really a fan of going into the tribal aspects of these things.
Yes. Guys, if you have beef with Ghalji, you can always come to Leiden and we can have a
discussion, address that issue.
No, okay. So on a more serious note, let's just switch back to discussing the departure of Ashraf Ghani Ahmadzai from Afghanistan. Now, guys, everyone who is in the chat, I want you all to just just have a moment. Let's just all pray. Just raise our hands. Ya Allah, make it possible for Afghanistan to have some sort of stability and peace, some sort of moment of tranquility where we can actually feel like normal people, like that we don't have to live in constant fear and anxiety. Let's just
we don't have to, we emerge from the phase in which every single time something happens, we're bombarding our relatives in Afghanistan and in Kabul with calls to ask them if they're okay. Just as I said to the BBC yesterday, the thing is, Sangar, is that the office of president requires that you speak about the person occupying it with some level of respect, even if you have your personal disagreements with it. With the person occupying that office. But just as the current defense minister said, and Abdullah Abdullah said, Ashraf Ghani, he's not even president anymore, really screwed this up, right? We saw the writing on the wall. We knew this was happening ages ago, but the new vocabulary that I have, Dar Dasta, Ashraf Ghani's Dar Dasta were more concerned with deluding him, feeding his worst instincts as a megalomaniac, as an insecure leader, and we are where we are. So that's just where we are right now. And like I told the BBC yesterday, I pray that there is an orderly transition, that we can maintain as much of the civil aspects of the current government as possible, and that is merged into a new government, and hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, we can look forward to a period in our history where we're not held hostage by the desire of a couple in Ark, the Dardasta of the president, to make money, or ideologues who just want our country to be the site of some unending ideological experiment or some ideological laboratory that never ends well, and in which the ideology only to some extent can succeed in Kabul. I hope and I pray that we have a government in which all Afghans can see their aspirations, their values, their vision of their country. They can see themselves represented in that, and above all, stability. We obviously need development, progress, growth, But if that is not underpinned by a solid foundation of stability, it's not good. Because we had progress, development, growth over the last 20 years, and it's gone up in ashes because it wasn't sustainable and it wasn't built on the needs and the requirements of the country and the residents therein. But that development, that progress, that growth was built on the demand generated by an international occupying force of tens of thousands of soldiers.
Yes. Now, guys, what I would like to do is just go over some of the most significant matters of the last couple of years, last 2 years, with President Ashraf Ghani, because this man has made many statements and he has said so many stuff that basically he suggested that he will not be defeated and that he will win, and he will he ordered the Afghan security forces to just go on and attack Taliban and exterminate them. He made all sorts of statements, and from what he said, you would expect that he's the last guy who's going to leave. But what are we seeing today? He's the first one who's going to leave. Now, guys, I used to have a blog called AfghanAnalyst.com, and I used to write articles there. Now I have retrieved those articles, and as Ashraf Ghani is now officially gone, I want to go back and read some of the stuff I have written about him a very, very long time ago. Okay? So I will just copy the text here and then send it to Waleed.
Before we get that, we had a question from AYK saying, what kind of system, right? What kind of system will deliver that? Which one do you guys think will work? He's talking about, you know how I said a system in which Afghans themselves can feel represented. What I would say is, if the next setup is democratic or semi-democratic, it should rely on sort of traditional Afghan local assemblies to petition any sort of leadership in Kabul. I would say that we're not infrastructurally, socially, economically capable of being a full-fledged democracy, but I believe in a representative government. How that representative government or representative legislature or body, now how that comes about is up for debate, but I believe that if it's based on Afghan sort of modes of consultation, of provincial assemblies, of tribal councils, that would work. I would also really like the ethnic quota system to become a thing of the past, in which we can relegate the importance of someone's ethnicity in terms of them doing the job. And a lot of people will obviously take issue with that and be like, no, but this group needs to be represented in this group. Well, if you were here earlier on in the podcast, I explained that the only reason that Hamid Karzai was made president by the Americans and the Northern Alliance was because of his ethnicity, for that diversity purpose. And the whole ethnic quota system, rather than giving each group a sort of a sense of representation, what it actually does is it engenders division. What I mean by that is that on paper right now, the government of the last 20 years was a utopia in terms of its representation and diversity. On paper, everyone was represented. It was the most representative government we have ever had. And yet, on an ethnic level, the ethno-nationalists have caused so much division within that system that we would probably see the back of it. The importance of someone's ethnicity needs to be relegated. I think that the politicization of history, the revisionism with which events of our history is studied, is approached, that needs to become a thing of the past. And this isn't me. I'm really no fan of sort of the Dawood Khan mode of national identity, where people are scared to say which province they're from, or scared to have a certain surname, or scared to have a tribal surname. I'm not in favor of that at all. I want a national identity in which common values, common aspirations, common ideals are the glue that hold people together, and everyone can be Afghan in whichever way appeals to them. That is essentially it. Beyond that, obviously there are a load of other concerns, financial, economic, political, that'll go into the forming the next system. But I think if that sort of ethos is embodied in it, it will yield more dividends than what we have at the moment. Um, we're getting reports that the Taliban have entered Kabul and that there's some sort of gunshots that are going on. That the shooting has gone on. Revenue. There's just another question I want to answer. Revenue is saying, why does Ghani get so much blame when it was the warlords in Karzai that destroyed the foundation of this post 2001 version of Afghanistan? I agree. Karzai and the warlords do deserve all of the criticism that they can get. I was criticizing the warlords earlier, in which I was accused of focusing on one ethnicity, but I believe Karzai himself played his role in that. If you read our article, we discussed how the likes of Karzai, Gulagha Shirzai, and General Razik Hatzikzai did the same thing in Kandahar as well. But the problem with Ashraf Ghani is that he ran on an anti-corruption ticket, and that corruption never really went away. It only became worse. And on top of that, he sabotaged the peace process that he said he was in favor of. So if we're going to criticize people, we should criticize them for the events of the time. Right now, corruption is not really on the agenda. It's Ashraf Ghani doing the stupid thing, right, in not abiding by a peace process to the extent that he's now had to flee the country. That is why so much of our criticism is focused on him.
Okay, just breaking news. Giti Azimi, a reporter for Noor TV in Kabul, has posted a statement on social media saying that men dressed up like Taliban are in front of her house. She doesn't know whether they're Taliban or just people pretending to be Taliban, and they're trying to enter her house, and she's pleading with anybody who can listen to help her. I'm just going, just listening. Just want to know where exactly she lives, but she's in Kabul.
I see.
Yes, she's not saying where she lives, but she says that people are in front of her house. Okay, so very disturbing news. I hope nothing happens to her. She's a young woman, a journalist, and she's up. She sounds very scared. Okay. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that is now emerging. You know, it's getting dark in Kabul. Taliban are entering the city. The whole day was anarchy in Kabul. There was pillaging. There was looting going on. Some people have been killed. I saw a person who was killed in Kote Sangi. Yeah, somebody saw an image, but yeah, so situation is very concerning.
Can we? There's a tweet that I want I want you to show of
Yeah.
Saad Mohsini.
Oh, yes.
His response to Ghani fleeing.
Mr. Whose business model is entirely based on foreign presence, military occupation of Afghanistan. Okay, yes, okay. Let me get you the tweet.
This one is for the archive.
This is for the.
I wish we had. You know what? If someone wants to post a tweet of his from a couple of months ago to see how his tune has changed, but yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, Waleed, did you see my articles from 2014 and 2015 that I sent you?
Yes.
Okay. You know, back then I said that people shouldn't support Ashraf Ghani because he's an academic, or you know, the Pashtun nationalists who supported him because he's a Pashtun. I gave reasons that those are not good reasons to support this guy, and you know, the claim that Ashraf Ghani is not a warlord, he's a academic, and we should support him because he's an academic. I wrote an article and I explained that what's the point of having an academic as a president when his vice president is a warlord, a rapist, and a mass murderer? You know, our criticism of this guy and this regime goes back 7-8 years. It was published. Okay, the blog is no longer online, but you can retrieve the content. But now, you know, I feel vindicated. I feel vindicated because we've been saying this all along, that this guy is no good. He is not reliable. He's not someone who will benefit the people of Afghanistan. His diploma, his background, and him having a book about how to fix failed states, etc. We wrote about it. We talked about it. We said that it's all nonsense. But well,
I'm gonna quote from Sangar Paykhar in 2014. So, aside from, and I quote, I'm reading from the article here, aside from ethnicity, another factor explaining Ashraf Ghani's popularity is his status as a man who wasn't involved in the bloody civil war. He is considered a scholar and statesman, not a warlord. Yet, both Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah Abdullah served the corrupt regime in Kabul, a regime designed to subjugate Afghans and violate our religious and cultural values. Both men are surrounded by communists, warlords, criminals, and thieves. The people who have murdered, raped, tortured, looted, and exploited us for the last 3 decades. In essence, both camps consist of the exact same kind of people. Ashraf Ghani might not be a gun-toting thug like Dostum, but he does have the latter as his first vice president. Similarly, Abdullah Abdullah wasn't a military commander. He was a medic serving primarily as an interpreter for the warlord Massoud. Yet both are accompanied by some of the most evil people in our recent history. Aside from Ashraf Ghani's ethnicity and his status as a scholar, he was also revered for his, quote, authentic Pashtun identity, unquote. Abdullah is considered an imposter because Abdullah's stepfather was an ethnic Pashtun, not his biological father. The fact that Ashraf Ghani is Pashtun by blood doesn't make all of his other flaws any less. Besides, his entire demeanor is a construct. He spent his entire life in a Western environment adopting feminine traits and mannerisms and a Western secular liberal worldview. A proper Pashtun doesn't need the help of others to tie his own turban. I need help to tie my turban. Damn, I feel
okay,
really
you have my exemption. Don't worry.
Okay. I hope I have.
But
I hope I have the exemption.
but
of,
I was
the others
going.
watching.
But I was going on guns blazing against this guy in
A proper
2014.
Pashtun doesn't need the help from others to tie his own turban. Ouch. A proper Pashtun doesn't talk like women or move his hand as if he's from the unspecified gender. Okay, this is very even though quite detestable, I must admit his metamorphosis as a Pashtun did result to more popularity amongst gullible Pashtuns. Damn, Sangar, you have mellowed since the beginning of Ashraf Ghani's presidency. But yeah,
That was that was the style of writing I had around 2014.
mad. I now feel like such a moderate.
Yeah, but anyway, so when we talk about Ashraf Ghani, we say that this guy is an imposter. He's not a real leader. He doesn't have grassroots support, etc., etc. It's not something that we came up with just now. It's something that we have felt and what we have said. I have written that in English and I have published that online in 2014. The criticism of this regime is not something that is new. We have been saying this kind of things about these people for 20 years. And for what? For what reason? Because we knew that this is going to happen, that this is a total failure. This whole construct is a total failure. It's not benefiting the people of Afghanistan. It's not it's not building any long-lasting, architecture of a state that you need so that it lasts for decades and centuries. All of that, it doesn't exist. It's all just a pretense. It's just a show. And you see how all of that was revealed in the last few days. The whole country collapsed. the security apparatus just collapsed. Taliban with bare feet, guys with sandals and bare feet and Kalashnikovs took the whole country within few days. And now they're in Kabul. They're inside Kabul. You know, it is very embarrassing. It's shocking and embarrassing, but I sort of think that it actually makes sense, the statement of Zabiullah Mujahid that we just discussed a few moments ago, where he said, well, there's total anarchy and people robbing everybody in Kabul, so we feel obliged to enter and prevent any more crimes. Why would this guy get the where does Zabiullah Mujahid get the audacity to make a statement like that? Well, obviously because acting Minister of Interior Affairs Abdul Sattar Mirzakwal this morning issued a statement. I tweeted his statement where he assured people we will provide security. There was no security all day in Kabul. Okay, you cannot secure the whole country, you cannot secure other cities, but at least you can prevent robbing and pillaging in Kabul. They failed in that as well. And now...
You know, like you said, you feel vindicated from 2014. Now, in 2014, I was one of the people that did buy Ashraf Ghani being an academic and not a warlord. Maybe I should have read your articles, although I'd have probably been upset about the bit about not tying your own turban. But in any case... someone messaged me the other day and they were like, I'm noticing a lot less hate under your tweets. And that's because people have finally realized we were right. We were right all along. A number of residents of Kabul's Dashtabarchi west of in the west say Taliban gunmen entered the 18th police security post after a clash. Local residents told Iran International that fighters set, Iran International, I think, set up a checkpoint near police station 18 and inspected people. But yeah, let's go to Saad Mohsini, Sangar. What do you make of this? President Ashraf Ghani leaves Afghanistan. Saad Mohsini is saying a man who declared he will never run away did exactly that. Escaped with his closest aides to an undisclosed city in Central Asia, so we are told. A cowardly, despicable act that will forever cement his legacy. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely right. First time I agree with Saad Mohsini. Absolutely right. Correct. That's statement is 100% true. You know, in Islam we say we accept the truth even if it comes from the devil. So if Saad Mohsini says that and it is the truth, that's the truth. But it is ironic that Saad Mohsini condemns Ashraf Ghani in such hard, terminology, because for the last couple of years, even though during the election in 2014, Tulu News was obviously, unashamedly pro Abdullah Abdullah. Over the years, the Tulu News toned down their hostility towards Ashraf Ghani, and they often even did very favorable interviews with Ashraf Ghani. But now it seems that he has turned 100% against him. And why not? He has left the country. He has left everything behind. But yes, so Saad Mohsini...
So what is the future of people like Saad Mohsini? So people who don't know. Saad Mohsini is the founder and the chairman, I believe, of the Moby Group. The Moby Group is a conglomerate, an international conglomerate featuring media organizations. Now, the Moby Group was set up with about $300,000 to $400,000 of aid from USAID, which is a government agency of the United States of America. So Saad Mohsini essentially set his whole enterprise up, and part of the Moby Group is Tulu News, which is Afghanistan's most popular television channel or sort of media enterprise. He's also in the Moby Group, Rupert Murdoch, who is a Western media mogul, who owns, let's say, Sky in the UK. There are loads of media organizations owned by Rupert Murdoch. He's one of the most powerful people in the Western world because of his control of media. Now, Rupert Murdoch is a shareholder in the Moby Group, which begs the question, why is Murdoch, whose news organizations often sort of post very misleading stories about Islam and about Muslims, why is he a shareholder in Afghanistan's biggest media conglomerate? So that is who Saad Mohsini is. Revenue also pointing out that Rupert owns 80% of the media in Australia. That's correct. He's a American Australian or something of the sort. But yeah, in the UK, when Tony Blair of the Labour Party wanted to win elections, it was Rupert Murdoch to whom he reached out and basically said, look, I need you on my side. Now, Saad Mohsini, his Moby Group has Rupert Murdoch as a shareholder. Saad Mohsini is the definition, and I don't make the rules here, but his entire enterprise, his rise to the top, was facilitated by the US invasion, by the occupation, by the money. The blossoming of the free media that we're told about in Afghanistan was financed, created, and sustained by the international occupation and the American invasion. Now that the internationals are leaving Sangar, what does Saad Mohsini do, especially with sort of the increasingly propagandistic lines that were taken by Talon News in the last weeks and months?
His entire media conglomerate depends financially on USAID, donations. They do air advertisements on Tolo. But as someone who has studied, media and journalism and the current state of affairs in media, I know that no media organization can make enough money to survive just from advertisement. And what they are advertising on Tolo is just energy drinks and all sorts of garbage. Yeah, so they depend on USAID, and the Americans, as they are leaving Afghanistan, obviously they are going to limit their financial support for these propaganda TV channels. Just a quick reminder, guys, if you want to know anything about information warfare in Afghanistan and how all these media organizations were always, all along, being working for the Americans and the government, visit our website, read the article that I wrote about Keith Lemke. It's about information warfare, and you will learn a lot about this matter. But we have to switch now to breaking news. Muhammad Omar Dawood Say, who is I
believe he's from my district.
Yes.
Karabakh, right?
Yes, so he was Ashraf Ghani's special envoy for regional consensus building, and he was part of the High Peace Council. He has just moments ago issued a statement on social media. Just let me, Sultan. Okay. Okay. So he's saying that in Khushal Khan area of Kabul, 3 rangers, so those are pickup trucks, they came to his house and they robbed his house and pillaged everything. They took everything away from his house. And he's saying that if anybody has contact with the Taliban, please tell them to prevent looting and apprehend these people. He's saying if anybody has contact with actual Taliban. So this further confirms what I have been saying earlier on Twitter today, and also what I said earlier during the live stream, and that is people who pretend that they're Taliban and that they're acting as if they're Taliban, and they put on those regular Afghan clothes, and they put either a shawl over their head with a Kalashnikov, and they go around the city and robbing and pillaging people. Now this guy has been robbed today. His house has been pillaged. So it's going. Yes, Yusuf says that it's going to be a long night. Indeed, I think it's going to be indeed a very long and terrible night in Afghanistan.
You know, we could sit here all day.
And Amir Khan Muttaqi, basically the Minister of Cultural Affairs of the Taliban, is now on BBC.
Oh, are
Should-
we able to see that? Where is Hamdullah Mohib? Osama Qayyum asks. Brother, I don't know.
He has an American wife, so if he, yeah, BBC Pashto. I think it's on TV, so yeah, and I
we
cannot
stream it now?
access. I
On
cannot.
Can you not stream it from the BBC's website?
No, because I don't pay a TV license in UK.
Ah, I see.
You know, us here, Dutch citizens, we don't do that. You didn't get the joke.
No. You're saying that we do it?
Yeah, so in UK, you can watch everything because BBC, you know, if you pay TV license. But people outside UK, they cannot watch and listen to everything.
Can you not see it on, like, would they not stream it on YouTube or on Twitter or somewhere?
BBC Pashto.
Yeah.
If I open the BBC YouTube stream, I think we will have a problem with lag because we're streaming right now. No, they don't have a live stream right now.
I see.
Okay. So anyway, he's talking to the BBC right now. There is another home that has been pillaged. Let me just listen to this message. Okay, so this is a guy who works for the government and he lives in Wazir Akbar Khan area of the city, and he says that in his street there are people who are robbing people, they are looting houses, and they are not Taliban, and he's warning all other people who live in Wazir Akbar Khan that they should be aware that houses are being looted and armed men are going house to house and trying to take all their possessions, so gold, money, etc.
Hirano J is asking, where is the information warfare article, Sangar? It's on our website, AFGHANEYE.org.
Okay,
Authored by Sangar Paykhar.
Oh. Okay, so a friend of ours, he's now moving inside the city in Kabul. We may receive more reports in a few moments of current situation, what's going on with regards to security, with regards to the ongoing looting and the movement of Taliban inside the city. So we will be sharing that information with you guys. I just want
saying that Karzai's last tweet is worth reading.
So did Karzai tweet something else? Okay. Waleed, maybe you just have one screen, right?
Yes.
Ah, that's very unfortunate. We have received, okay, guys, before we move any further, we have recently received 140 euros a donation from our supporters. I just want to say thank you very much for the donation. And a few days before that, we received a donation of about 80 euros. So we have received two very generous donations
We
recently.
also received £100 from a friend of mine.
Yes, so things are going really well. We have now made a few investments. You will see drastic changes on our website and on our channel. We're working on it. So thank you all very much for your donation and your support. We are investing everything on this platform so that we can provide better content. Now I'm going to Hamid Karzai's tweets. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, for also sharing with us, new stuff that we can cover. Okay, so Hamid Karzai has tweeted. Whoa, this guy has been busy in the last few minutes.
Someone is asking, is this a hobby or do you guys try to make a living of this? We're
Very
freelancers.
good questions.
We're freelancers, which means that we actually work, for free. But we obviously got donations and whatever to set up our equipment and our website and that sort of thing. And maybe if we get enough support, if we get enough subscribers, enough followers on Twitter, maybe we will be able to make a living from this. And if we do make a living from this, rest assured that we will be creating much more content than we already are. This is sort of because the circumstances in Afghanistan are exceptional. We're doing this every night. Under normal every night or every day. Under normal circumstances, we do this once a week. But if you guys help us by sharing our content, by subscribing to our channel, by following us on all of our social media handles, then maybe, just maybe, we may be able to make a living off this. And if we make a living of this, we'll be able to create much more content. And that would be good news for us, obviously, and it would be good news for you to provide a critical perspective into affairs pertaining to Afghanistan, into news emerging from Afghanistan, and in which we, as a collective, can provide a counter-narrative to the mainstream news coverage of Afghanistan of the last 4 decades, of which we are all sick and tired, right? Sangar, now, sorry, that was the answer to the question. Can you just zoom into those tweets? Or can you click
they
on?
Are on the
I
screen.
believe it's
Yeah,
a
they are on the screen. The tweets. Let me just get the first one here. So, yes. So Ashraf Ghani says در پی خروج آقای No, sorry. I'm sorry. Hamid Karzai says در پی خروج آقای اشرف غنی و مقامات مسئول از کشور. Translate, please.
With the exit of Mr. Ashraf Ghani and مقامات مسئول از کشور, the responsible officials of the country,
به منظور جلوگیری از حرج و مرج و کاهش درد و رنج مردم و جهت اداره
okay, bearing in mind with the intention of preventing unrest and the increase of pain and suffering of our people و جهت اداره
هرچه بهتر امور مربوط صلح و انتقال مسالمت آمیز شورای هماهنگی متشکل از محترمین هر یک دکتر عبدالله عبدالله رئیس شورای عالی مصالحه ملی رهبر جهادی گلبودین حکمتیار. So he's saying that, yes.
He's basically saying that in order to prevent unrest and the increase of pain and suffering of the people, there will be جهت اداره هرچی بهتر. So basically they are creating a new council, انتقال مسالمت آمیز, so a peaceful transfer شورای هماهنگی, a cooperation council will be متشکل, will be formed and it will be comprised of Dr. Abdullah, the head of the Supreme Council for Reconciliation, National Reconciliation. The jihadi leader Gulbuddin Hekmatyar will also be part of this.
Yes.
And Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, who is the
is also
jihadi
in
leader and the Amir of Hizb Islami, and Hamid Karzai, the former president of Afghanistan. So this council has been formed. In Shura, as نیروهای I can't read because I don't have my
Okay,
glasses.
I will read it. Okay,
Read.
okay. این شورا از نیروهای امنیتی حکومت و نیروهای امنیتی تحریک اسلامی طالبان میخواهند با حفظ حفظ
خشونتداری. Is that خشونتداری? I can't read it. The font is terrible.
Yeah. جلوگیری ها و هرج مرج و تحرکات افراد غیر مسئول و غیر مربوط را قطعاً بگیرن. So basically this council that consists of people from the government and from the Taliban is trying to prevent the anarchy and people, irresponsible people who are trying to take advantage of the situation, and basically they're robbing and pillaging people. And he has also given a phone number so that people can contact.
Sangar, read the live chat. The Taliban have reportedly taken Arg.
Welcome.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, earlier today, when moments ago, when I shared a message and I said that a friend of ours is near Arg and he has seen Taliban vehicles going towards Arg. What time was it?
About 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was 4:26 Dutch time, but at least it was 45 minutes ago. That's when I called it. That's when I said that this is going to happen. And now it is being officially announced that they have taken Ark. So guys in the chat, you know you are here with us because we got our sources in Kabul.
As well as the rest of the country.
Yeah. So we knew it. We knew
Reuters,
that that's going to happen.
Just in, no transitional government in Afghanistan. The group expects a complete handover in power. 2 Taliban officials tell Reuters. Yeah, that's not obviously the optimal. That's not what we were hoping for. That's not what we were calling for. Osama Qayyum is saying, what is Arg Presidential Palace? Arg in Dari means citadel, and it refers to the presidential palace. Yes.
Yes. So guys, now.
So whilst we've been on the live stream, we've gone from the Taliban entering the city to preventing looting, to now taking the Arg. Events are. We could sit here all day, Sangar. When do you think we should end the live stream?
I think when the steady stream of reports sort of subsides.
Okay. Khan Sheham is asking, where is Dostum? Dostum is in Uzbekistan with his BFF, Ustad Atta, with whom he's been feuding for the last 3 decades. AYK is saying that banks are closed, that there's a lot of looting taking place in Khairkhana. But yeah, and yeah, that's basically it. Someone is saying, can we trust Reuters? They have published some bad stuff as well as some good stuff with regard to Afghanistan. Yeah, Khairkhana seems to have a lot of unrest and looting going on at the moment.
Okay, I have a report from Khushal Khan of 150 guys with police vehicles who are robbing people. I'm going to play the audio. Waleed, you can translate, okay?
Yeah.
موضوع کې یو تعداد خلک دي چې د اردو او د نظامیانو د اکثرې ورسره دي.
Okay.
So, Assalamu alaikum. I spoke to you earlier. I told you that there are people from the security forces in the 5th Police District. What did he say? I didn't catch the other bit. They left their weapons. They abandoned their weapons.
They have the weapons of security services with them. Well, just
yeah.
let me just rewind a little bit.
Okay, so they have the weapons. So they're entering people's homes, the homes of officials, and they're beating them up and they're dishonoring them and they're looting them essentially. So, and the officials know that these people are not Taliban. So this is the situation in the 5th Police District in Khushal Khan. He's saying that people know that these are not Taliban. There's a bad situation. They're also standing all over they're basically standing by the roads and they're stopping people in vehicles and basically looting taking the vehicles of them. And he also says there's a female journalist whose house they have gone into and who they have dishonored. Now, dishonored is, it could be a euphemism for sexual assault, or it could just be beating her up. It's as of yet unclear. But he said that I'm going to record another voice message and I'll explain things there.
But the female journalist that he was talking to, that's the woman I mentioned earlier, moments ago. So Giti Azimi, I think he's referring to her. I just told you guys that she issued a statement and she said that they're standing in front of her house. Now this guy who has sent the other message, he's saying that they have entered the house. So this is it's very, very disturbing to see that this kind of situation that could have been prevented, this kind of anarchy could have been prevented. These people who are now taking advantage of anarchy, they're robbing people, if the government in Kabul, if these people and the Taliban and the Americans, if they had made an effort, they would have been able to prevent this, all three of them. But
they would have been able to preserve the state and the republic which they were so fond of, and we would have been able to avert hundreds of thousands displaced, people needlessly dying, and anarchy in the streets of Kabul.
Guys, I think the mayor of Kabul's house is also robbed.
Oh wow.
No. His house is not robbed, but they suspect that he may be targeted.
So apparently, according to Hikmat J, Faiz Daland is saying that Ghani has fled to Oman. His airplane just landed, a source tells us. Abdullah is cursing him. This was their unity to fight against the Taliban. And now the Taliban are saying there will be no transitional government. They will take power. Well, that is the thing, is that an entirely Talib government is not a good thing. I hope that they do take power and they do exercise wisdom and understand that them monopolizing power as one faction representing a large number of Afghans is not better than a power sharing agreement.
Yeah, so guys,
and that's not to say that Abdullah should sort of be interior minister, but it's to say that sort of non-Taliban figures could be included within even if the setup is overall Taliban and there is an emirate, non-Taliban officials could still be part and parcel of that.
Yeah, guys. Osama Qayyum is asking a question. He's saying maybe commoners are taking revenge from the rich in Kabul. That's quite plausible. That's quite plausible. But again, the guys who are people who are in Kabul and who have seen the people involved in robbing and pillaging, they say that these guys are police and security service people. So, yeah.
Begs one to ask, imagine what these same people were doing in other parts of the country that was going unreported for years.
Yeah, so more people are saying there won't be any inclusive government. I think that train has left the station long time ago.
Unfortunately, yes, it has.
Okay, so our friend Imran Feroz has also said something interesting on Twitter, and I think we should just pause a little a moment to what he has said. So Imran Feroz was our first guest on our podcast, and he was with us in Afghan Eye Live recently, and we talked to Imran about his recent journey through Afghanistan, where he basically did a lot of interviews in rural Afghanistan. Just one moment, here is it. So Imran is saying that, yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Go ahead, Waleed.
Ashraf Ghani made fun of King Amanullah Khan, who left Afghanistan almost a century ago. Now it's him and his deeply corrupt circle that is gone. History is written badly in my beloved Afghanistan. You know what? I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just so disappointed. Pathetic. Honestly, pathetic. Despicable. I don't even have anything to add to that.
You know, what is very concerning is that we have to think about people's mental health situation right now. We know that not everyone is capable of seeing through lies of politicians. They're not capable of digesting misinformation and coming to a conclusion that this is just a political statement, this is misinformation, this is all lies. We also have to acknowledge that people in Afghanistan, the war and the conflict is their reality. So that's why when people make a decision to trust someone or believe someone, whether it's Ashraf Ghani or Dr. Abdullah or anybody else, that decision has impact on their life, on their personal life, their job, their career, their financial situation. And when people makes those decisions, okay, they are taking a huge risk. So once that political leader, whether it's Ashraf Ghani or somebody else, basically backstabs his own supporters, and in this case Ashraf Ghani, who has fled the country, can you imagine what is going through all those people who voted for him, all those people who believed that he is going to make Afghanistan a peaceful and prosperous country? Those people are now in doubt about their future, their life, their security, and it's a terrifying situation. We have to think about how much that will affect their mental health, their children's. You know, I have a lot of relatives who believe that Ashraf Ghani is some saintly figure and that he is going to fix all of Afghanistan's problems. And I kept trying to convince them and say, look, that's not going to happen. And at a particular moment, I stopped having these discussions. I try to avoid talking about politics with them because I know people who are in Kabul right now, they have been personally, emotionally invested in this current situation. They were invested in that situation, and it was very difficult for them to say, okay, if I don't support Ashraf Ghani, what then? Who am I going to support? And who's going to take care of this country? Who's going to provide security for us? And the honest, the brutal, honest question is, this is going to lead into a disaster. It's very painful. It's very, very it sort of robs you of all your sense of security to know that the whole thing is a joke. But that's how much this situation has an impact on people's lives. So that's why I have tried to sort of avoid having these conversations with my personal family relatives who are Ashraf Ghani supporters, because I knew that they're emotionally invested and they're unable to reason because it impacts their day-to-day lives. You know, some of them work for the government. I have some relatives who work inside ARG for Ashraf Ghani. And those people, I'm not going to tell them, you know what, this guy, he's a failure and he's going to eventually abandon the country, and everything that he's saying about building the country, the economy, and bringing peace and whatever, it's all nonsense and it doesn't make sense and it's not going to happen. I can't have that conversation with those people. They're my relatives. They're very dear to me. I think about them every day. But these conversations I couldn't have with them because I knew that it's going to really make them suffer, and they might even feel very resentful towards me and feel like, okay, why are you saying this? How do you know that? And why should we even value your opinion? You're criticizing a guy who provides a job opportunity for us, or etc., etc. So I felt like, you know, I don't want to talk to them because I don't want to upset them, and I also don't want to have this issue that will result in tensions internally within the family, etc. But now that all the whole house of cards has collapsed, all the lies and all the pretense, everything has collapsed, I feel really sorry, and I feel really painful. How do you say? I am emotionally like. I wish I could do something to make people feel better. I wish I could say, I'm very sorry that this is happening right now, but everything will turn out for the better. Future will be less depressing, but. I can't even say that. I don't even have that kind of assurance for myself. But yeah, sorry. I felt I needed to say that. But that's basically the reason, why we always try to give arguments and explain why we think that this is not going to work. And now you see that what we have been saying for all these years is now coming true. It doesn't work. It's a failure. It's a disaster. The whole thing was a farce.
You know, we found out that Ashraf Ghani fled about an hour ago, I would say, roughly.
Yeah.
But it kind of just sunk in for me. And I feel what I feel is pure and utter disgust and contempt, not just for Ashraf Ghani, but also for Ahmed-Waleed, Ahmed Zia, Mahaqiq, the Masud Khail family. All of these, I feel an absolute total disgust for all of them. You had Ashraf Ghani, who was saying that he would never surrender to the Taliban, who who did everything possible to disrupt the peace process because it meant that his power would be threatened. You had these guys who were imposed on Afghanistan. These guys were imposed on. Sorry, give me a second. These guys were imposed on Afghanistan after 2001. Yunus Qanuni, um, Ahmed-Waleed, Ahmed Zia Massoud, who, whenever you would criticize anything about them, right, the corruption, the 52 million that Ahmed Zia took to Dubai, what would you be called? Jasus Pakistan, right? Pakistani agent, Punjabi, ISI. And who have they gone to now? The, as we would say in Pashto, the Chada Kaset Khadodeikhri. Whose bowl are they currently eating from? Pakistan's. Ashraf Ghani, on the other hand, who used to laugh at Amanullah for fleeing Afghanistan, has now also fled Afghanistan. There's anarchy in the streets of Kabul. Hundreds of thousands of people are displaced. And yeah, all of it for what? We didn't even get an interim government. We now have a full-on Taliban government. What the hell, man? Like, seriously. And like I said, we knew it all along. What do you get? Okay, so now you've shown us a tweet of Naqib Ahmad Azizi. I don't know who he is, but he says
he's a senior media expert at National Security Council of Afghanistan.
So he's saying Taliban. Oh, sorry, yeah.
So basically, he's the guy who manages the media and communication for Abdullah Moheb.
Sure. So he's saying Taliban, oh Talib, wadi gartala, you won. Perdera kakagidi gartala. You won with much elegance. Mujwaqan matsu. We are truly broken. Khtai Paman. Goodbye.
Okay, so this guy was the guy responsible for all the communication for National Security Advisor Abdullah Moheb, and he's throwing the towel in the ring. But basically, that's the mood. That's the general mood of people in Kabul in the leadership. They feel totally defeated, and yes, very sad.
Hikmat J is saying, I'm hearing from family that west part of Kabul, Khushal Khan, is relatively quiet and safe. I don't think it's total anarchy, alhamdulillah, just isolated incidents. I would say, alhamdulillah, that that's the case, but it will take a couple of days for these sorts of events and occurrences to sort of entirely be, to be resolved. But the thing that I'm getting here is that, one person's house being looted is one person too much. Do you see what I'm saying? One extra soldier dying needlessly is one extra soldier too much. This could have all been prevented. Sadly, unfortunately, it wasn't.
Okay.
Sabur Ahmad is asking, where is Amrullah Saleh? We don't know. Rumors that he's biked it to Panchshir. We really don't know, but I assume that will become clear in the coming hours. Sangar, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, so we can wrap it up now. We can end the live stream now. And do you want to take a break and come online later, Waleed? What do you say?
Might as well. I hope that I've recovered from the sheer disgust that I feel. I don't know if you can tell, like, I don't even have much to say. I am literally just disgusted right now. Honestly, wow. But yeah, guys, like I said last night, you joined us at the beginning where there was still uncertainty and whatever going on. We found out together, all of us, we spoke together, all of us, about the fact that Ashraf Ghani has just fled Afghanistan. Yeah, that's basically it. AYK is saying, hey guys, turn on the tipping system, please, so we can contribute through here. It's easier. Sangar is the chief technical officer of the AFGHANEYE. All such queries are to go to him. SA4 is saying, Waleed, stay strong. Alhamdulillah, like, I'm not heartbroken and upset, but I just feel an overwhelming sense of disgust towards those who called themselves towards those that basically, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to mince my words here. These people urinated on the name Afghan and what it meant. They urinated on the name Afghanistan, of which we are obviously proud to be from. We are not nationalists. We've always been pretty opposed to nationalism and xenophobia. At the same time, though, the name Afghan is a name that our ancestors sort of held in some sort of respect and esteem, and that name on an international scale has been urinated on over the course of the last 20 years by these people who only used it to enrich themselves. I am strong, alhamdulillah. I'm not heartbroken. This is kind of what I expected, but to see it happen in such a manner, I can't even express my disgust. But
Guys,
Sabur Ahmad is saying, Ahmad, if you're in London, let's hook up. Yeah, I'd love to. Get in, we should get in contact and hook up. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in a couple of hours as we
yeah.
find out.
Guys, so if we have more new stories, I will prepare that, and we will announce on Twitter and Instagram at what time we will go live, and then we will cover a lot of stories. Today we covered like 20, 30 new stories. So later on we will discuss more stuff. I hope to have confirmation from my relatives in Kabul that they're safe. I will share that with you guys as well. Everyone in the chat, I really want to thank you all for being with us, for your questions, recommendations, correcting some of our mistranslations, and
Yes.
I'm starting
Yes.
to sound like that. Congratulations. So yeah, it's a very difficult time for Afghanistan. We are going through a crisis, and we can emerge strong and better from this crisis. That's at least what we hope, and that's what we pray for. But in any case, we also want to let you all know that we appreciate you being with us, spending time with us, and for that reason, thank you very much.
I've got one
I just
last thing to
received,
say.
I
Oh,
just received a donation, €8 from a new donor, and he's saying, ooh, sorry, let me just read out the message. Kama karam shuma. Thank you very much. That's a very nice, generous donation. Thank you very much. And everyone, you guys, we really love you guys for your support, whether it's just being here with us, listening to us, sharing our content. Don't forget to like the video. And obviously those of you who have made donations as well. Thank you very much. See you in a couple of hours.
just give me one second. This is something that I think is important. For all of the Afghans here, we may be of, I'm speaking directly to the Afghans here. For the Afghans here, SA4 is asking us to please put Patreon info in our description. Yeah, we'll do that. But I want to address all of the Afghans here. We may be of different political persuasions, different family, political backgrounds, different provincial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, and so on and so forth. Now, just as we at the AFGHANEYE held the now defunct government of Afghanistan to account, so we will hold future governments and officials to account in Afghanistan. That is, as Afghans, our duty to do so constructively, to do so in a way in which we can sort of help the people ruling our country to realize the pitfalls of what they're doing, etc., etc. Now, we will do that going forth, whatever the government, whatever shape the future government takes. But in doing so, it may be politically expedient for the Taliban to forgive and announce a general amnesty for certain people that are currently in Kabul that will end up fleeing Afghanistan. In the future, in holding a future Afghan government accountable, let us not give a platform to the scumbags, the ideologues, the war profiteers, who did everything possible in the last 20 years to encourage and to beat the drums of war in which thousands of Afghans lost their lives. Let us be careful in holding the government, any future government, accountable to not provide a platform. And I'm not going to mince my words here. Anyone that does encourage war because they're an ideologue, because they benefit from it, because they get rich of it, let's not give scumbags like that an opportunity to have a platform or to regain any sort of credibility. The Taliban may have forgiven them, but it is up to us as Afghans to make sure that such people are never placed in any position of power, of authority, of sort of any sort of credibility, because they were already in that position. And imtihan Iraqi, as we would say in Pashto, they sort of gave us their test. They were tested and they showed us their real colors.
Walid,
So that is all I'm going to
yeah.
say.
Walid, we need to go offline now and then take a rest and come back soon because some serious developments, we need to cover that. So guys, we're going offline now. We will be back soon. There is a lot going on. I am just receiving messages. We need to be back as soon as possible. So we'll try to be back as soon as possible because all this information needs to be covered. Okay, guys, Assalamu alaikum. See you soon. Bye.